Hey y'all, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how to make vegan bacon mac and cheese using store-bought ingredients. If you would like to have a completely homemade cheese and bacon, I will link down below. I have made a vegan cheese recipe and I also have a vegan bacon recipe as well. So starting off, I'm just boiling my pasta noodles. I like to add a little bit of salt to that water so that the noodles could absorb a little bit of that flavor. This is my key. I do not strain the pasta water. I keep all that pasta water because pasta water has starch in it, and that starch kind of works as a thickener or a binder for our mac and cheese. So I don't strain none of that water out. And then I'm just adding some vegan cheddar cheese. I used 2 different types, and this is about a cup of each. I took some vegan parmesan flakes, and then I took 8 ounces of a vegan ricotta cheese. So it's just the whole tube of the ricotta cheese, and then a little bit of the seasoning salt, which will also be linked down below. I mix all of that together. Again, this is the same pot that we boiled the noodles in. We didn't strain any of that water. And I'm just mixing all of that together until the cheese kind of melts down. And mainly we want all of that ricotta cheese to get blended with the noodles really well. So once we've mixed all of that really good, we're gonna transfer all of that into our baking dish. I used 2 baking dishes because I just had 2 little small ones, so it made me about 2 trays. And then I just add all that to my baking dish. Once I add all of that, I'm gonna go back on top with a little bit of that vegan cheddar cheese. And then I also wanted to add that I used the whole box of pasta noodles. The whole box of pasta noodles. And then to boil the pasta, I just completely covered the pasta in water. So fill the water up until all of the pasta shells are completely submerged. I'm adding that vegan cheese on top, and then I just add a tiny bit of spring water just to keep things moist and not let it, dry out too much. And then these are ready to pop into the oven. I baked them at 375, and first I let them just cook for about 20 minutes to get some of that cheese melted down. And then I'm going in with this vegan bacon. I got this bacon from Whole Foods, and I'm just gonna cut that up into, small little cubes. I'm kind of breaking up the mac and cheese and then just sprinkling that bacon right on top, and then I'm gonna pop this back into the oven for another 20 minutes. So in total we cooked it for about 40 minutes. 35 to 40 minutes is a good amount of time. Pop that back into the oven, and then when we pull it out of the oven, it will be ready to serve. So this is that mac and cheese right out the oven, and this is exactly how I like it. I love a really good baked mac and cheese. I don't really like super gooey, like that really creamy mac and cheese. I love a good baked mac and cheese, but it still is nice and moist. So for me, I love this mac and cheese. Again, this is using store-bought ingredients, but I will link below my homemade vegan mac and cheese with the cheese that I made from scratch. It melts, it shreds. So that's going to be just another alternative. This is definitely a really nice and quick mac and cheese, and something that you could just make for the whole family. So to pair with that mac and cheese, I'm going to be making some black eyed peas. I always wash my beans, soak them, and then give them a good rinse, strain them before cooking them, because you don't want any dirt or just any extra debris that might be on those beans. And then I'm chopping up a sweet onion, and then I'm gonna chop up some red and green bell pepper. I love adding the bell peppers and the onions into my black eyed peas. Just a little extra little boost of flavor. So right now we're chopping those up. I'm using about half of a small green and red bell pepper, and then I used about half of a small sweet onion as well. In my pan, I'm just going to add a little bit of avocado oil, let that heat up, cook down the onions and then the bell pepper a little bit, just till the onions are kind of like caramelized. And then I'm taking our seasoning, salt, and I'm just adding that right on top of those onions and bell peppers. And then this is our Creole seasoning, which I used 1 tablespoon of each. And then I just stir all that together. And then once the onions begin to be kind of translucent, then you want to go ahead and add in your water. In total, I added 10 cups of spring water to our pot, excuse me. So now I'm gonna add in those beans, and then I'm just gonna pop the lid on and let this cook until the black eyed peas are completely soft, and then that's how you know they are ready to go. Here's a better look once those beans start to cook down, and this is the final result. Again, I love having the bell peppers in the black eyed peas. It just adds a great extra little some. So now I'm gonna make the collard greens. Kind of the same process with the collard greens. I chop up a sweet onion, and then for the collard greens I only use a red bell pepper because in my opinion the red bell pepper has the best flavor. I love red bell pepper. So I'm just using whatever bell pepper I had left over from when we did the black eyed peas. I'm gonna pop that again into the pan, cook the onions until they're translucent and they're just lightly cooked. We don't want the onions burned or nothing like that. And then once the onions become translucent, I either turn off the heat if I'm not ready yet, so I had to turn off the heat, and then chop up our collard greens. I like to just roll them like this into a tight roll and then thinly slice them. This to me is the best and most easiest way to chop down your collard greens. So I do that. I'm growing collard greens right now, and I'm just so excited for them to be ready to harvest because they grow in such an abundance, and I absolutely love collard greens. I love collard greens, especially eating them in the winter and the fall season. I love them. So once I chop those down, I like to also add cabbage in with my collard greens, just a little bit of cabbage. And I chop that down as well. I don't really mind if the collard greens are all like different size pieces. I feel like that gives it a little bit more character. So you don't have to be too picky with chopping it perfectly. And after I chop all that down, I'm just adding the cabbage and the collard greens into that pan. And then I'm going to turn the heat back on because I had to turn it off before. For the collard greens, I'm taking 8 cups of spring water, and I took 2 bunches of collard greens and about a little bit less than half of a small cabbage head. This is my holy grail. I love adding a turnip into my collard greens. It again is a great flavor and then just another extra texture to have in those greens. So I'm just chopping it into random little sizes. And then I remove the skin as well from the turnip. And then I just pop that right in that pan. Right in that pot with the cabbage and the collard greens. Give it a good stir. Add a little bit more seasoning if you need to. Cooked mine on about a medium-high heat, so they were ready in about 30 to 35 minutes. And you know they're ready when your greens are a nice, like, dark green color. So right now they're bright green. You'll know they're ready when your turnips are super soft and then your greens are dark in color. I did add a little bit of pepper as well because I do like that extra little kick that pepper has in it. And I also added here, this is a vegetable paste. So it's basically like a super concentrated seasoning paste. So I added that to my collard greens, and it essentially just makes broth. You could cook your collard greens as well in vegetable broth. Is really another really good option too if you don't want to just cook them in water. So I stir all of that around, and then I'm just gonna pop the lid on, let it cook. This is how my collard greens look when they are fully done cooking. I love those turnip pieces in there. It's so, so, so good. And now we're just ready to plate. This is just collard greens, vegan mac and cheese, and then some black eyed peas, and you could add any extra sides you would like. But this is how I make my vegan bacon mac and cheese, and then also I make my collard greens and my black eyed peas. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I will link our seasonings down below, and you could order them on our website at MYC&x. And below you could also find the link to the vegan bacon and then also my other vegan mac and cheese recipe. Thank you guys, and I will talk to you soon.